Hi friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who are new here, my name's Noe. I'm so glad you're joining me. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about something a little bit more serious. I'm going to be talking about something that I've struggled with and that I'm still struggling with. And I wasn't planning on sharing this with you guys, but in order to be my fully authentic self with you, I need to share this. And so today I'm going to be talking about my struggles with body image. I have felt, as I'm sure many of you have, insecure about my body, and I still do. And it sucks because when I feel insecure about my body, it's all I can think about. I can't focus on school, and it's hard to concentrate on tasks, and it's just consuming my thoughts. And I don't want any of you guys to ever feel that way, but I know that that's super unrealistic. So I'm hoping by making this video, you guys will be able to feel a little bit less alone and just feel like somebody's there and somebody understands what you're going through. I hate society for making us believe that there's only one acceptable body type. I mean, we see the image of the perfect body everywhere. Billboards, movies, TV, social media, magazines. And we see it so often that we normalize it. And we get down on ourselves if we don't fit the image of the perfect body. Take TV, for example. In all the movies where there's a character who's a little bit bigger, there are always comments or jokes made about them, or it's the problem that needs to be solved. Like, oh, this girl can't get a boyfriend because she's too big, or this person can't be loved or be part of the crowd because they're too big. I want for there just to be, for once, one movie or one TV show where the main character is bigger, but there are no comments or jokes made about them. Or if there are, that it's not a main story point. This is just one of the many examples of women feeling like they have to fit society's image of the perfect body. Small waist, big hips, thigh gap, big boobs, wavy hair. But let me tell you, nobody looks like this without some sort of enhancement. Sure, women have some of these qualities, but nobody has all of these without at least a little bit of editing. So it's not even realistic. This makes me really mad. I mean, first of all, that society would even create these expectations for women to feel like they're not acceptable, to feel like they have to change to fit in. And second of all, for society to create these options for women to change, to market plastic surgeries so that women will get them and change who they truly are just to feel accepted. That's not how it should be. I mean, we're our own biggest critics. We see completely different things when we look in the mirror than when other people look at us. But once we get an ounce of confidence, society is right there, shoving more images of these perfect bodies down our throats. At the end of the day, no one 100% loves their body. There is always something different. There's always something that could be changed. There's always something that could be better. And society does not help that, because society just comes right back with all these images and just puts them in our face and makes us even more insecure than we already were. I'm going to tell you about my struggles with body image. It all started probably mostly in middle school. There are a couple little things here and there before then, but it really became prominent to me in middle school. I'm at that age where I'm a preteen now, and then I felt super insecure already because I was switching to a new school and new friends, and then I would see all these girls who were really skinny and who had all these groups of friends, and I would get really jealous of them. But I was still okay. And then I joined a swim team, and I had to wear swimsuits, and I was seeing myself in those tight swimsuits, and I was just criticizing myself so hard. And then I fell pretty deeply into depression, and I was super moody. I was closing everybody out. I wasn't myself. And it sucks because what was on the outside was affecting what was on the inside. And the worst part is that I wasn't sharing it with anybody, and I couldn't get any help. It started to get worse when a couple years later I would walk down the hallways and all I would see were girls who were skinnier than me, or girls who were prettier than me. And I would get so down on myself. I would go shopping and I would try something on, and I would just like scoff at how bad it looked on me. Like I would try on these tight shirts, and I would just stare in awe at how awful they looked on me. And I would get so mad at myself because I didn't look like those girls. And I really should have just been focusing on what was on the inside, but as a teenager, that's really hard. I think the worst part of all of this was that I didn't even realize that there was anything wrong. I just thought everything I was saying was normal, and I thought I was saying it so much that I started to believe it, and deep down, I started to realize that it was the truth. And then my mom, she snapped me out of it. She told me I needed help. So I started seeing a therapist who specialized in diets and food. But none of her methods were really working, and I tried a bunch of different therapists. I went to this one for a couple weeks, and then she moved away, so I had to switch again. And so that was a hard time because I was struggling with anxiety and stress, and then on top of that I couldn't find a therapist, and then the body image issues, and it was just a whole big mess of stuff going on. Then I got to high school, and up to that point I had to wear a school uniform. But when I got to high school, that wasn't the case anymore. And I would see all these girls who would wear crop tops or tube tops and skirts, and I felt so bad about myself because I knew I could wear those things, but I knew that I would never look like them if I wore those things, and I knew that I would look bad if I wore those things. And I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to be a part of the in crowd. I didn't want to stand out, and I wanted to just blend in, go with the flow. But I couldn't because I couldn't wear what they were wearing, because I didn't feel like I would be accepted if I wore what they wore, because I wouldn't look good. I would get up in the morning and I would look at myself in the mirror, and I would just think all these awful things about how ugly I was, how nobody would love me because of the shape that I was, and because of how I looked. I was beating myself down. I was hurting myself. I was not physically, but emotionally, and I was tearing myself down, even though nobody else was. It didn't help when I went to the doctor, and they had told me that I had gained 20 pounds from stress eating, just eating in general, everything else that I was doing. And my doctor told me that I was in the 98th percentile. My doctor showed me a graph. My doctor told me I was fat. My doctor told me that I needed to lose weight. My doctor told me that I was unhealthy. And that just reaffirmed all of these things that I'd put in my mind. And that was the last straw. That was it. I believed it. I was locked into that thought. And it wasn't going anywhere. I remember on the car ride home that day, my mom told me not to listen to the doctor. That weight is just a number. And that as long as I feel like I'm eating the right things and getting the right physical activity, I'm healthy. But it was too far in my head. It's like when you get a negative compliment and a positive compliment. You don't remember the positive, but you sure do remember the negative one. I couldn't get out of my head. Then finally, I found the right therapist, and I started seeing her and talking with her, and I continued talking to my mom about all these issues that I was having with my body image. And my therapist taught me some great things, one of which I'm going to share with you at the end. But she told me I was perfect the way that I was. And my mom did too. And so did my friends, and my dad, and my brother, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. And I realized how big of a support system that I had. I realized that people loved me for me and not for what I looked like. And I realized that I was my own demon. I was the one who was tearing myself down. Nobody else was making comments about me, but it was me. I was my own antagonist. And if I was going to be better, I needed to get out of my head. So I continued seeing my therapist, and I continued seeing my mom. And my therapist found a great strategy for helping me. Every day that I would go in to see her, she would have me do a different activity. And then she would have me talk about some of my favorite celebrities. Skinny, big, no matter what body shape, talk about celebrities. And then she would compare me to one of them. Maybe not all of me, but one of my traits to them. I got compared to one of my favorite actresses, Drew Barrymore, and I got compared to a bunch of other actresses for hair, cheekbones, eyes, smile. And I started to feel better because I started to realize all the good parts about me instead of just the bad. That is where I am now, digging my way out of the hole that I had fallen into. And I'm not totally perfect. I still have negative thoughts about myself, and I still have negative thoughts about my appearance, but at least I now know that I have a support system, and I have a way of coping and managing all of these emotions and all of these thoughts. So I'm hoping that my story helped some of you guys. Maybe it helped give you some advice, or maybe it just helped you feel a little bit less alone. And finally, before I wrap up this video, I want to leave you one piece of advice that my therapist taught me. Every morning when you wake up, look in the mirror and don't say negative things about yourself. Push all the negative thoughts aside. Instead, find one positive thing to tell yourself. It can be about your personality or your appearance, it doesn't matter. But just find one positive. And when you look in that mirror, reassure yourself about that one positive thing. And then anytime throughout the day that you feel negative or you feel down about yourself, think back on that one positive thing and reassure yourself of all your good qualities. And that even though there are negatives and there are things that maybe aren't perfect or that we want to change, there are always those positives that will guide us through and that will get us to the other side. That's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys were able to take something away from this, whether you learned something or if it was just feeling a little bit less alone. This experience was really emotional for me to relive and for me to talk about. So I hope that you guys gained something from this. And I'm really glad that I was able to share this with you guys. And I will see you guys on Friday. Bye, friends. Being authentic, no,